Hey guys, this is Esteban Herrera. I am building Combase and I'm gonna talk about it to you. Here's the website under construction. It is a conversational AI assistant and a lot more for computers and droids. You can come here to our GitHub, my droid and I, the organization / Combase. As you can see here, it is a development framework for empowering computing with conversational capabilities, like building AI-powered assistants. Basically, it is coded in Shell and Python, and here you can see the installation steps, structured, how to contribute, etc. Okay, now I'm going to start it. I decreased the resolution for you to see it better and open a terminal in full screen. So you just type Combase start after installation and configuration. So it starts. And there it is. Now, as you can see, Combase is terminal based, but you can create your own UIs for it. It is originally like this because you can use it in things that don't have graphical interface. So you can come open the console there and then move through the windows. For example, move from the window 1 Combase to the window 2 dashboard and go back. For that, use these commands like Control B 2. So now we are in here in dashboard, and you can come back like Control B 1, right? So here we have 7 panes here. This is the first pane for the chat room. There's the username. You can customize its name and the name of the assistant. And here you can also load applications, terminal based applications, and you can come back to the chat room whenever you like. So this is the second pane. The second pane has a portion of the conversation. So in case that you are using pane 1 for applications, you can still see some of the conversation between the assistant and the end user here. It is connected to the SCT engine currently running Whisper reactive, but you can run instead Whisper proactive here. So this is the server pane. The server is receiving requests from the client. Here we have the client with a JSON message. When the client sends to the server in the local host or in another host, the server searches for the command, and if there's no command, it sends the request to the LLM. So it responds depending on the requests and the LLM setup for that purposes. Okay, here we have a capture. It is capturing commands for Combase using the microphone As you can see here, it is active. Okay, we are using this full HD microphone from the camera to record Combase commands, and we're using this second webcam to record this video. Okay, here when it says computer automatic, means that we are using Combase in computer mode and using the automatic sub modes. These modes and sub modes can change depending on the device you are using or developing Combase for. This is the default status for this Paint 7 if you are not using the STT Engine Whisper reactive like this, but the Whisper proactive STT engine. If we are using the reactive STT engine, as we are doing now, and we decided to exit the recorder, we can go here to the terminal status, and then when we finish typing our commands without requiring to go outside or open another panel, window, or tab or terminal, we can simply run this command. It's a terminal Combase command, Combase recorder, or just Combase rec, and it is going to run again the application to make Combase ready for receiving new voiced commands after pressing C. Okay, talking about the options we have, I can quit again and then show this command. It is Combase. We have help, right? So I press enter, and we can notice that Combase is plenty of options. The idea is that these options will be all built-in commands, terminal commands, and also voice commands. At this point we have only some terminal voice commands, like, let me see. Now if I want to see this bigger, I can press again Control B, but this time Z for zoom, right? And there's the help, right? Now I see the options to print, to start and to stop, record, sound options. For example, this one, toggle captured on off. Alright, so I'm gonna copy the option. I can press Q here to quit, and I can press again Control B and then Z for zoom again. Okay, now I'm back in Combase, right? Then note that the end user has no participation in the chat, and let's say Combase here, and then paste using Control Shift and B, toggle capture on off. Both captures are on, right? So let's press enter. Now it says as the assistant, right here, the default microphone is mute now. This message doesn't come from the STT engine, but from the TTS engine. We have two different TTS and STT engines in separate engines, because they have different purposes, and due to Combase is modular, you can add more TTS or STTs to Combase, like a bundle, or let's say like a plugin. It's not that easy, but it is possible. Also, because of the open source nature of the development framework, right? So when Combase talks, it mutes the microphone, and that is because if Combase is talking and at the same time you are speaking, and the STT, the speech to text engine, is receiving commands or messages from the user from the FHD microphone, in this case, Combase is going to get confused about the two messages. I mean, it can sound complex now, but the fact is that we need to mute the recording while Combase is just talking, so it doesn't get confused about its own words, so we don't spend time listening confusing responses from Combase or any Combase based application, in fact. So now there is the same command to I'm gonna repeat that using the arrows, toggle capture on off, because Combase wasn't listening to, right? But we are not touching this because here we are recording the video, as I said previously, and Combase doesn't touch other captures, right? But if I toggle on again, it doesn't tell anything because this command is built like this. But if I come here, Combase is now listening because the microphone is active. So it's listening, but it's not at the same time, because for the reactive engine we need this recorder for Combase to be ready, to get ready to receive our commands. So I press C again, and I can tell something to Combase, like, tell me about yourself, then stop recording, and the STT engine starts to process what I said, right? Tell me about yourself, and again and again. If I'm touching this repeatedly, for example like this, and press, you will see that Combase is prepared for interactions between the operating system and the sound, so it starts recording only if it knows that the device is not busy. So when it is ready to record, like this, for example, 1, 2, record. It says busy. Now it's not, and I am ready to record. Press C, it is recording that. So the STT engine has to interpret what I'm saying. Okay, it didn't in this case because it was mute. I touched it. But if I press C, it's busy, right? Can you tell me about yourself? Can you tell me about yourself here and here, right? So that is the reactive STT engine. So now we have two microphones, right? And both are active. We're gonna switch from the reactive STT engine to the proactive STT engine like this, using Combase. Select STT engine. The idea is to have these commands as voice commands and terminal commands so you can use them in your own applications, and also as built-in commands for Combase. This is of the type of interactive on the terminal, so you can't use it if you don't have a keyboard, right? And it can be a problem depending on the device you are developing Combase for or using Combase for. Alright, for example, with the XTT called Proactive, you can decrease the microphone's level, right? And mute it. The idea is that if it stops listening, it's going to process. So it works differently compared to the opposite, the reactive. So I'm gonna choose 2 for proactive, right? Here. And then press enter. And then I'm gonna speak, adjust the level, and then speak or send a Discourse message command, right? Or interaction with LLM through Combase. So enter. The dogs are barking, but they don't interfere. Okay, I said but now it's processing because it was not listening. Okay, the dogs are barking but and stopped. Now it is listening again, so let's see what is capturing, and now it is processing again. Maybe because I touched this too much, I'm gonna increase it, and it starts processing again. What can you say? I'm gonna mute. This time mute works as a trigger to force the STT engine to start processing. So let's say listening to and starts processing again. Why can't you say, okay, the dogs are barking, but and it stopped, and now it is listening again. So let's see what is. Okay, the idea is that you can use it in devices without thinking on keyboards or um, intervention on the computer. Another stroke, it is recognizing, and the idea is that this STT engine is working continuously, right? But if you are not speaking, it's not using it, so it stops for a while for 15 seconds, and you can customize this timer, so it is not using the resources like GPU during this time, and after that it is going to reactivate and start listening again. But if you don't speak, just will keep sending the last thing captured and processed by the engine. In this case, listening and start processing again. What can you say? So if you reach in the chat room pane the limits of the screen is going to go up like a normal terminal. And if, for example, you were not talking to a robot automatically, but on the computer, come back after a while, after lunch, without stopping the STT, it will be listening and stopping, repeating these phrases, but you will see at the end the last command that you set to Coinbase or to the Coinbase based application, so you are not going to lose the track, right, on the conversation with the assistant. Okay, that is more or less the idea. So I'm gonna say something else. I'm gonna say something else for you. Sorry, because I decreased the other volume. But I'm gonna say something for you to have an idea of how it works. Yeah. And so you have to choose which engine you're gonna use. Depends on your context or needs at the moment, right? Or define just one CT engine for a project, for a product. All right. So how are you doing today? It takes more time because also I am recording the video. With this SCT engine, there is another example. If I Coinbase stop and start, it has one option, which is a message for you to make sure about the volume of the microphone. It says that you can mute while listening to stop the recording, or in other words, start processing it. For example, like this. Coinbase stop. Now I'm gonna start with the proactive, right? Because it was set up in the configuration. Now I'm going to do it again without the headphones. So you can hear something, I think.
Mute the microphone to pause recording.
And there it is. This Python TTS3 is not the best voice, but it is the more internationalized of the voices that come from software packages and bundles to Coinbase and with Coinbase by default, right? Okay, last but not least, I want to talk about internationalization. I'm preparing Coinbase so it can translate all the built-in speeches and log messages and logs, discourses to different languages. What I'm going to do is to tell Coinbase to change the language. For now, I have the separate states to make it work. So you can use every separate step as a command. You can see the Conbase help for now. It is going to be in the documentation, but using Conbase option H or help, / help, like this, you will see more options, right? So for example, I can use set language, but at the moment it's an interactive terminal command, so it is first interactive, so you will need a keyboard to press, for example, 2. So think about, I mean, devices different than computers. Without keyboards, it's going to be difficult to program some commands for them. So you have to design the project considering these differences, but it is possible. The idea is that, for example, I can tell Conbase to change the language, but I can change the language, but there's also the voice. So you can, for example, use your voice with American accent speaking Spanish, right? It's going to sound maybe kind of weird, or Spanish, like Spanish speakers sound speaking English. I am the perfect example, I think. But right now I'm going to change it to Spanish. So I need to change in the default TTS engine the voice index, and I also need to change the language to Spanish. So I want to do that like this. So this message has to change mute the microphone to pause the recording in the next start. This works after the configuration, like restart or reload, but that message is appearing by default when you start with a proactive SCT engine. So I'm gonna use this message because it's what I have right now. So I'm gonna use let's say it is set SCT, no, set language, right? So I have these options, English and Spanish at the moment. You can program more options. Okay, it is here, right? English, United States, and Spanish, Spanish. So I'm gonna use Spanish like this. Spanish, Spanish, right? Your language code is Spanish, Spanish, right? Now to test it, but if I'm testing it, I'm gonna look for an option that I don't remember. It is base H, right? So I can zoom and here under TTS engine, Python TTS 3, the default TTS engine, I have list Python voices, or PyTTS 63 voices, right? List, and then there is set voice index, set voice index. So I'm gonna copy these two, right? Lists voices. Okay, I'm gonna quit Q. Okay, and I'm gonna come back to Conbase. Okay, and then I'm gonna select here what I'm copying. It is, sorry, I'm copying lists, my voice. I think it's voices, but let's say base voices, right? And I have there all the indexes. I'm gonna go back to and zoom it, Control V Z, so I can see all the indexes, right? And then there is, I think it's the, this is what I'm using, is the 17. There is also a command for that, 17, and then I went to the end. I'm gonna repeat the command, voices, no problem. I think it's something like 22 or something. Let me see. 15, English, Esperanto, Spanish. Here, Spanish. There's one Spanish. I'm gonna use Spanish from Spain, index 20, right? So I quit with using Q, come back to Combase, and then select, this is set voice index, right? Okay, so I'm gonna paste this from the clipboard. I'm gonna say Combase, let's not say, but typing, right? Set voice index, and I'm gonna change it. It says the app voice index is 17. Okay, there are 75 indexes you can use. The language code is Spanish here, so I said it was 20, right? So I'm gonna say 20 here and press enter, and it's going to tell the new voice index information. The new app voice index is 20, as you can see here. Okay, Spanish. So now it is all set up, right? So now instead of the assistant, instead of saying mute the microphone to pause recording, is going to translate the message to Spanish based on internationalization, right? So let me see, I'm gonna turn this up and just restart Combase, stop it, here it is going to give me some information. It is useful for example, debugging applications. Here is information about the connection. It is working in the local hosts, the server is running, etc. Right? Okay, I'm gonna start Combase now and listen.
Silencia el micrófono para pausar la grabación.
Okay, now it is speaking in Spanish. Something interesting is that if, for example, I'm speaking and it is listening in Spanish, as it is right now, the STT is going to get confused. But we have an option to restart the STT engine. So as a command, it is useful because you can restart it from the terminal without losing it. But think about this, think about it also as panic button. You can design Combase based hardware device, so it is not going to be difficult to restart the STT engine without restarting Combase completely. And that's it. Thank you.